Hi, Intuitive viewers, welcome. So I promised a video. I put it on the community page yesterday. And if you don't know how to get to the community page, if you go to the main page of, usually if you go to the main page of Intuitiview on YouTube, you can hit the icon, the little card symbol that I have for my icon, and then it will take you to the main page, and then you'll see community, and you can hit that. And for those of you who are members, you can hit membership, and you can get that, and that will give you the information for both, the community membership. So if you're ever wanting to know what's going on, that's where it is. If you've rung the bell, you should get announcements when I put like a message up. But if you're interested in that, that's just how you do it. So I put something on the community page yesterday saying I would be on today talking about Roe, and then I was going to get messages for you guys. And I kind of have to explain, because what happens is something will happen, and then I'll get messages like, can you come on and talk and, get messages for us. And what was something like this, and like with Uvalde and things like that, it's kind of like I have to work through my own emotions about it and my own feelings about it, and kind of deal with that first, and then I can move that out of the way and I can get messages. But if I don't, the messages get very muddied by my own personal feelings and my own personal emotions. And you don't want biased information. You want information straight from the source, straight from my guides, so I need to work through things to get them out of the way. And so that's what happens. And so thank you for being patient. And I do have some information for you. And it's very interesting, because my of course, if you're a woman in America with certain beliefs, in our own free will, you were gutted, you're gutted. But I also remembered that, my guides did say this would probably happen, and then there would be it would be reversed, it would be turned around. What the messages that came through were that the what we would call the right wing of our country right now, this kind of minority, but very kind of cruel, kind of a mean sector of our prejudice. They kind of hold all of the kind of the negatives that have been kind of in our country, that have held on, that are just kind of these old ugly things. So what they wanted to let you guys know is that this is the continuation of kind of unearthing, bringing things out into the open, but also it is it's also kind of dealing with things once and for all. And so we're having to revisit a lot of things that we thought were done, were completed. And it's kind of like, no, we're revisiting them to kind of put a period at the end of the sentence. So we're going to be revisiting a lot of old things. The other thing is that this is a last gasp of, and I don't want to say, white men. I don't want to say that, because it's not really that. What they have kind of held is how my guides made me feel like it was an old, very rigid, an old, rigid, very domineering kind of energy that has been here forever. It's kind of an at least since religion came really into play. And what's happening is that is kind of going to the wayside. And and I don't want to offend anyone that is in a religion, so please don't take it as an offense. But they're talking about it as being used to control, and that a lot of the messages were kind of twisted and moved to control. And we're going to be moving into a whole nother era, kind of what we think of as the new earth or the ascension, whatever you want to call it. But it's kind of a new wave of older energies leaving and new ones coming in. And the new ones coming in are very aligned with who we are as spirits. It's a more free-flowing, a more accepting, very cooperative, but first getting our own free will and autonomy in order. So we're kind of realizing our own personal power at the same time. And then when we get our own personal power and realize that we have our own personal power, then we move into this cooperative energy that's basically going to save the earth and save ourselves. So, but first we're moving out of this kind of domineering, rule over you, tell you what to do kind of energy. Okay. So that's what's happening right now. And so it's very, it feels very oppressive and very like someone's stepping on your neck, right? It really feels like that kind of pressure point. But that's why, is because it's going to be leaving. It's a last attempt, right? By these old energies that have really hung on. And they're kind of letting us know that this is part of that. I say getting rid of, but more like releasing and letting go of these older, more domineering, tell you what to do, rule over you kind of energies, and moving into a more autonomous freedom. Okay. And they also want to let us know that when you have free will and you move about freely, that really has to do with a more of a love kind of, it's a movement into love, because love is very, and the reason I keep pausing is I want to get the right words. I want to make sure that I'm saying this correctly. But love is a more free-flowing, and it's a more trusting, open, accepting kind of energy. Fear is a very closed, very dense, angry. It can move into anger, right? Because anger stems from fear. It moves into all those kind of energies. So we're moving out of that into something else, okay? And so when that happens, the people that are very, very fearful and they're not ready, they start to clamp down and start to hold on and start to do things like we saw on Friday, to hold people in place, right? Because they don't want to move. They don't want to go. They don't want to move. But what my guides want you to understand and wanted me to understand is that they're fighting against spirit evolution. They're fighting against something that can't be fought. It's like throwing a stick, like trying to hold on to a stick in a flowing river. It's kind of like you might be able to hang on for a second, but it's basically flowing one direction, and that's the way it's going to go. So, the problem, or not the problem, I should say problem, the question is time, right? How long is this going to take? Because we all want this to be done tomorrow, because we know people are going to be affected by this and going to be hurt by this. And what my guides wanted us to know is that this is going to be different than it was before. That we're living in a different time. And also most of the country is on board with moving along, not going back. Okay, so what you're going to see, this is what they're letting you know is a lot of cooperation, a lot of organization, a lot of stepping forward, a lot of people willing to risk to help other people. You're going to see a level of cooperation and organization that we haven't seen before within this movement. And the same thing with kind of like with guns. You're going to start seeing incredible organization like we have, kind of organization and cooperation on levels we haven't seen before. And it's just going to progress from there. Okay, so it is just a matter of time. But within that time, you're going to see people organizing and helping one another like never before. So it's going to be an incredible movement even getting there. It will be very inspirational and very astounding. And you're going to see some, on the other end of this, you're going to see a level of desperation. So you might see some sparks of violence. You might see some level of anger and rage and upset, but it is because it's having to let go, right? It's scary. It's fear. It's fear of what will happen now. If we let go of this, what's going to happen? Because it's an oppressive, domineering, I want to be in charge kind of energy. I want control. And we're moving into an autonomous, free will. We have our own control energy. Okay. So that's what's happening. And so that's kind of a bigger picture. And their advice, I guess, for us is to look to people like, well, for me, they showed me Shannon Watts because I've kind of been a little bit interested in her as it relates to gun safety and gun violence, because she lost a child in Sandy Hook and she started this Moms Demand Action. I think we gave to them last month, but it's an organization. And if you want to look her up and listen to her talk about guns and gun safety, because she is so steadfast and determined and in a way passionate but unemotional about it. And that helps her to kind of keep her emotions in check so that she can keep moving forward. And so that was the advice that my guides wanted to give us, where you think, well, we need, we do need our emotions to process things. We need our emotions sometimes to read. I use my emotions all the time to read. I use my connection to feelings, but they're wanting us to move in a more pragmatic way. Set the goal. Okay, I'm going to give money. I'm going to, with every little step forward that we can. And they're letting us know that is going to make us feel like we're moving more and more into that energy, and we will feel better personally, and we'll also be moving towards where we're actually going. Okay. And to also look at and understand your own personal power in this, that you have the ability to help people on an individual basis. You can help people on a collective basis by signing a petition or giving money or going to march or do all these things, that we still have our own choice in this matter. Okay, how we deal with it, right? That's the choice in front of us. So their advice was that to kind of try to deal with their emotions and then put them out of the way so that we can make pragmatic steps and move forward in a way that doesn't wear us out, because we're in it for the long haul and we're not going to stop. And when you listen to her talk, you know that she's coming from a place of absolute, because her child was murdered, right, in their classroom. She's one of the Sandy Hook parents. I think I said that. And she is completely, totally dedicated. There is a core there that's unwavering. And I feel like that's what they're telling us we're going to have to find right now, is that kind of unwavering. We're doing this. We're not going to be stopped. You know, these few people are speaking for a very small section of the country, and most of us want this. So we're moving forward. Okay, so finding that kind of that anchor that we can that can carry us through this. And they wanted us to know that anchor, or that part of us that's kind of steadfast, is connected to spirit. So we can call on that when we need it. And this is part of that earlier message. And if you didn't see it, you can go back to my 2022 year video, year of 2022, that things were going to come to a head this year. And we were going to be off balance, and finding that center, that grounding, that part of us that's connected, that's where we can always go to get centered and know that we're going to get through this. We're going to move forward. And it's meant to be in our spirit evolution. This is part of it. Okay. So we're just, and if you want to think of it even more dispassionately, think of it as moving from old energies into new energies. And that this has happened through the dawn of man. So we're just moving into a new phase of new energies that are going to be working on the earth, but just working differently. We're going to be working in a more cooperative fashion, in a more autonomous, knowing our own personal power, but then putting our powers together to work cooperatively. That's what we're moving into. Okay, so we're moving out of that, we're ruled by an iron fist, will rule over you and tell you what to do, into I have my personal power and I choose to work with others. Okay, that's what we're moving into. So that's it was put in a way I hadn't gotten before, and maybe I wasn't totally meant to completely understand it until it's here, and we're actually moving into this. So we're still kind of at the end of the unearthing. We're learning a lot about all of the problems and issues, and the corruption, and the sexism and racism, and all of these things that are still kind of there under the surface and bubbling up in a more, people that have been affected by it know it's there, but we're all knowing it's there. We can't ignore it anymore. It's all there. The unearthing. And now we're moving into the phase of having to face these things. They're coming to a head. We're having to face them. And then comes the justice. That's in this as well. Justice is coming. And then ultimately the healing takes place. But this is what we're moving into. And I hope this helps you. It helped me. It helped me to intellectually understand where we are and what's happening, and that it can't be stopped. It's not something, it can be slowed down, or it can be kind of like it's basically a kind of a tantrum that they're having right now, that we're all having to suffer through. It's kind of like the parent having to suffer while their child screams on the floor. It's like that. So we're having to manage the tantrum, put things back together, and move forward. Okay. So I hope this helps. I really do. I hope this helps. This is why when I ask my guides to come in and give a message to me, it's to help me, it's to help you. And we're in this together. That's what I can tell you. We're in, whether we like it or not, we're in this together. So I hope this helps you. And if you're in the club, Wednesday, we're going to have Linda here hanging out with us. So if you want to join the club, hit the join button, and I'll see you Wednesday. And then I will see everybody on Thursday for our mini readings for the club, and then for our Thursday Night Live. Okay. All right, everybody, take care. Bye.